Everyone, Casey here with Wellbeing Connections, and I want to thank you for joining me for today's Huddle summary on perfectionism. So as we get started here, I'm going to share my screen and we will jump in. All right, so like I mentioned today, we are going to be talking about perfectionism. And we're going to get started with an activity to pause where we visualize what that self-kindness, one of the antidotes to perfectionism, is. So I invite you to find a comfortable position, maybe closing your eyes or taking a couple deep breaths to get settled. And I want you to recall a time in which you were maybe overly hard on yourself for a mistake that you made. And as you're bringing yourself back to this time or this experience, I want you to think about if a friend made that same mistake. How might you respond to them? What words might you say? What gestures might you show them? And as you think about how you would respond to a friend who made that same mistake, I want you to think about that experience as if you responded to yourself with that same kindness, those same gestures, words, affirmations. What might that do to the experience that you recall? Nurture your well-being, have a positive impact on others involved. Recognize how responding to ourselves with self-kindness when we make a mistake might impact your well-being. Take a moment to pause with this reflection and visualization as we get started with our huddle on perfectionism. So I invite you to jot down a few words or thoughts that come to mind when you hear that word perfectionism or perfectionist. Maybe include things that it might make you feel or how your body maybe even responds. Do you get a little tenser or might tight when you hear that word perfectionism or perfectionist? Do any body sensations or emotions or even thoughts come to mind when you hear those words? This illusion of perfection is more prevalent today than it ever has been before. We're carrying around social media in our pockets. We're taking in information from marketing and graphics posted around us in every corner and turn we take. There's information coming into us about what we should be or could be doing at every moment of transition. But what, if any, benefits come from this illusion of perfectionism? And what are the real costs of that perfectionism? So today we're going to get into how perfectionism can impact our well-being and what we can do to minimize that negative impact. So perfectionism is the tendency to demand of others or oneself an extremely high or flawless level of performance, often in excess of what is required by the situation. Now, this comes from the American Psychological Association's Dictionary of Psychology. And many of us have this belief of perfectionism that we have to maintain this perfect standard to interact with the world around us, or all the things will come crumbling down. And this belief can cause us some trouble regarding our well-being. Having a belief of perfectionism impacts our well-being through our mind-body connection. We are always searching for information to determine if we are well and safe and secure at all times. So where our perfectionism belief can get in our way is where it conflicts with this ability to feel safe, secure, and well. If we can't feel that until everything is done perfectly, we might find ourselves not very often feeling well, safe, and secure. And how often in life are things really perfect? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. Usually never, right? Our world is made up of humans, and we will inevitably make mistakes throughout our unlimited or our limited time here. Now, when things are not perfect or in alignment with our belief of perfectionism, our body notices this and responds with our influence on our thoughts and emotions we're experiencing. And this moves us into a state of dysregulation or puts us in a fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, for more information on dysregulation and that stress response, you can visit our mini courses and look up regulating in the optimal zone. It will cover all of the details there, or even search our YouTube for our window of tolerance series. Now, can use self-reflection to identify this belief of perfectionism and use self-care, self-compassion, and self-acceptance to nurture our well-being as we move from that state of dysregulation into a state of self-regulation. So, some ways we can work through our perfectionism is by practicing self-care. Now, self-care is any activity that is done intentionally to take care of our physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual health. Now, there's no one right way or two right ways to practice self care, but some ideas might include meditating, taking time for you in the quiet, calming your mind, journaling, writing out thoughts and emotions, spending time in nature, moving your body and connecting with the world around you, maybe your spiritual well being, or even going on a walk or getting exercise in, kind of feeling that physical release. Now, another way we can work through our belief of perfectionism is with self compassion. Now, self compassion is where we turn compassion inward by being kind and understanding towards ourselves, rather than overly self critical when we make mistakes or fail or even feel inadequate. When we give ourselves this support and encouragement, rather than being cold and judgmental, when these challenges and difficulties arise, we are able to extend to ourselves this self kindness, or excuse me, this self compassion. And we do this by practicing self kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. Self kindness being just what it says, being as kind to ourselves as we would somebody else. Common humanity by recognizing that we're all, as humans, going to make mistakes, experience loss, and all the things that life holds. Although the circumstances may be different, those universal experiences are the same. And practicing mindfulness, being present in the moment, bringing ourselves truly to where our feet are at, letting our mind go from what should have happened or could have happened to being what is happening now. And another way we can work through perfectionism is by self-acceptance. When we practice self-acceptance, we're embracing who we are as a human, as an individual, without any qualifications, conditions, or exceptions. Now, we practice self acceptance by reframing our negative beliefs. So, maybe looking at that belief of perfectionism and saying, I'm a human, I will make mistakes. Perfectionism is not the goal. Maybe it's self forgiveness. Maybe it's letting ourselves off the hook about something we should have maybe known better than that we did. And again, just that overall acceptance of imperfection. Those are the things that make each one of us unique and allow us to contribute to the world around us. So let's start to explore a little bit about how we might want to move through that belief of perfectionism and work in a way to nurture our well-being. So I invite you to consider, how would you rate your current ability to use self-care, self-compassion, and or self-acceptance to minimize the impact of perfectionism on your well-being? What number would you rate that? 0 to 10. 0 being I am not practicing any of those currently. 10 being those I am an expert at practicing self-care, self-compassion, and self-acceptance. And as you're assigning that number to where you're at currently, what are some things or what are some examples that make it that number? For example, what makes it an 8 versus a 3? You may pause this video at any time as you're continuing to write. As you're reflecting, I want you to recognize or maybe brainstorm, what might you gain by growing your self-care practice, your ability to extend your self-compassion and or self-acceptance. That what impact might that have on your well-being? What are some potential positive outcomes that you might anticipate from growing these practices? If you currently practice self care, self compassion, and self acceptance, what are some things that you want to keep doing or that help you each day or each week keep these skills top of mind and help you continually practice them to nurture your well being? as you're reflecting, if you would like personalized support on your journey to working through a belief of perfectionism or any other well-being topic, I'd be honored to be considered to join you on your well-being journey. Feel free to reach out to us on our website at wellbeingconnections.org, where you can sign up for a free exploration visit where you and I can sit down and explore what type of a plan might work for you. You can sign up for our email list at wellbeingconnections.org. You can always reach out to us via email by contacting us at admin@wellbeingconnections.org, or even give us a call at 605-370-8457. I want to thank you all for joining me today. All the best.